Rob and Slim Show.
Hey, it's Steve Hamm.
Hey, Steve Hamm, actor. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
How are
good.
you?
We're good. Actor, you're in Sandusky, Ohio, correct, Steve?
That is correct.
Cool. And when did you start acting? Because when I looked you up, you have 23 and a half years in the military, correct?
That's correct.
What? So yeah, what started you acting?
It's actually kind of a funny story. About 6 months before I actually retired, I just had a wild thought to try an acting class or acting workshop, and I was still in Tennessee at the time, and I just happened to find a workshop run by a guy who used to be a full contract player for a daytime soap opera, and I took his weekend class, and after doing 2 days of cold reads, with just reading the script that's in your hands and just trying to act it out as best you can, I guess you could say the acting bug kind of hit me right at that point. So I said, this is something I really want to pursue, once I finally get out of the service. But as any actor or newcomer actor can tell you that, you don't get paid anything when you first start out. So I had to wait until, I moved up to Ohio and get myself established with my job and everything else, and then hopefully find a agency to represent me. And it just kind of blossomed from there.
Cool. And like being in the military that long, like does anything scare you as far as acting goes?
It's a different kind of scare, I guess you could say. There's no one shooting at me, obviously, or lobbing grenades my way, nothing like that. But I think the scariest part is just going in for auditions. I think no matter what stage of the game you're at, having to go in front of strangers you don't know and act out a scene, and trying to make your best bold choice of what you think they want to see, or whatever else, and then hoping that it comes out well, that you don't flub the scene or whatever you're going to do, whatever else. And no matter how many times you do it, I think it's always you got that the pre-audition jitters. And once you get in there though and start doing your stuff, then it's really not that big a deal as long as you're prepared. But yeah, I think auditioning is definitely my scariest part.
That's the scariest, because I remember I took drama in high school, and my teacher, she worked at NBC at the time, on the weekends or something, but she said, like, if there's ever a point you're not nervous, something's wrong, like auditioning type
Oh
of
yeah,
thing.
that's I would agree with that for sure.
What as far as being in the military for so long, what was you were in Afghanistan and Iraq, correct?
Yes.
What was the craziest thing you saw? Like, you were a helicopter pilot.
Yeah, I was. I actually started in the military as a helicopter mechanic, and then once you're around, pilots for a while, and you see them doing their stuff, you got the itch to go and do that. And the Army does, provide the means for anyone to really apply for it, and just getting through that process. But while flying over there, though, I mean, it's I probably can't say that the craziest thing I've seen on the radio, probably, but it's just a whole different way of life over there. I mean, it's a third world country, both of them are, and it's just it's crazy, I guess. I mean, people live simple lives, very simple lives, and they're used to it, and that's what they're accustomed to, and it's just different, I guess. That's the best way I can describe it, really. Hot, dusty, and just same stuff day after day.
What do you still pilot a helicopter?
I do. I work for Life Flight right now.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool that you still get to do that.
What is that you work for?
Yeah. Life Flight.
What is it? What is Life Flight?
Basically, when you see the air medical helicopters that come in, to a scene or something and pick up a patient, so that's what I do.
Wow, yeah, that's cool. What my dad over the summer, he had a bad motorcycle accident, and he had to get airlifted to a hospital.
So
south of here.
Okay, yeah, it's a very interesting, exciting, and very, I guess, scary sometimes, especially when you got to do nighttime scene calls. We do use night vision goggles, which helps, thankfully.
Wow.
But every call you get to go on, though, it's always different, unique, and we have to act as a crew, and make sure everything is done safely, whatever else. So there's a lot of a lot of training involved. A lot of
Yeah.
attention to detail. You got to stay focused and stuff like that. So it's a very important mission, but it's also very rewarding at the same time.
I always wondered, is there ever like a guy just out joyriding in the helicopter? Like he does a job, he's like, I want to take my buddies out, and then he gets a call. He's like, fuck, I gotta go pick somebody up. Like,
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. No.
I'd
If
be
I
that
wanted
guy.
to get my own helicopter, I probably could. But
I'd be like, Slim, you want to go on a helicopter ride?
Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
yeah, I've been asked multiple times for that. I'm like, I really wish I could, but if I want to keep my job, obviously I can't.
You're gonna get a lot of private messages from me, Steve. I'm gonna be asking you for a lot of helicopters.
He's gonna give you the
Right,
exact
yeah.
coordinates of where he is. Come pick me up. I'm at here right now.
I need a ride to 7-Eleven.
Right, yeah, right. That'd be a quick ride for you for sure. No, I mean the one thing we do offer for people that are in the EMS field, at least that living around us, that we do offer a program where they can come in for, let's say, a 12-hour shift, daytime only, and they can ride along with us to see how we do things or whatever else. So once they just got to take a safety class, but once they do that, then they can ride along. So that's
cool.
a good way for them to get a different perspective from what we do.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, a helicopter is kind of different from a plane, right? Because it's a lot more wind.
Oh, yeah.
And it could be like more dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah, it's totally different. The common joke for helicopters is that we beat the air into submission, basically. So we're not really technically supposed to fly, essentially. But it's
Right.
yeah, airplanes they're designed to fly. Get
Yeah.
the speed going. You do what you get. Once they're up in there, they do what they do. But we have to handle or coordinate 3 different flight controls to keep our stuff going. So.
Yeah, it could be like
But our
any time.
helicopters
At
are-
any time, something could go horribly wrong, right?
Well, yeah, it could anytime you're flying, whatever else. We operate with 2 engines, which is good. So, I mean, you have to have a really, really bad day for both of those to go bad. But
Okay.
we also have our new GPSs are touchscreen, and we have autopilot installed. So they're pretty decked out.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious
Yeah.
because okay, if you can drive a car, you can drive a truck. So if you drive if you
I don't
pilot
know.
a helicopter, can you pilot a plane or a jet?
Oh,
Or
I think it's totally different.
Well, I could probably pilot a plane easier than the other way around because you've got to have coordination to fly a helicopter. and
That's what
I'm not saying you don't have the coordination to fly a plane, but there's just more controls involved with a helicopter. Once you get in there, I mean, you can watch YouTube videos of people trying to fly for the first time, and it's not a pretty sight usually. I mean, especially if they're just trying without any training whatsoever.
Oh yeah, no.
It
You can't just
does
figure
take,
it out.
Quite a few years or hours to master that.
Yeah.
you can't watch one YouTube tutorial and then pilot a helicopter.
Well, you can try. I mean, I wish you the best of luck. I mean, it's going to make for a good, funny video as long as you live through it. Yeah.
Someone's gonna be a YouTube pilot next week.
Right. Yeah. Go for it. Right.
Oh man.
Oh,
go
man.
back to acting though, Steve. You do I saw you do a lot of like voice work, right?
Well, actually, I just got into the voiceover niche just recently. I was on the casting site Backstage, and there a student down in Columbus was looking for someone to voice over one of her projects, and so I sent in my stuff, and she liked what she heard. And unfortunately, I mean, I didn't have the proper equipment to do it, but I mean, I did get cast for it, so that was fun. And then I'm like, this is really cool to do. So I started watching more YouTube and doing a lot more research. And there's like one main guy. He's up in Chicago, actually. His name is Bill DeWeese. He's very, very popular with voiceover, but he has a ton of videos, and he explains, from step-by-step process, how we got into it, which, some stuff you can use, and this and that. And there's a few other guys that I've been watching too to get, input from. And then I finally just broke down and, bought my mic, my pop filter that goes with it, a stand, my audio interface, and then I downloaded the Adobe Audition recording editing software. And so
Cool.
I've been using the past about 2 weeks just to improve on, the speaking part, and then becoming an amateur sound engineer, basically.
See, I thought if they'd want you,
But,
they would hook you up with all that. Like, if somebody
What's that now?
If somebody like recognized you, they wanted your voice, they would just set you all up.
Well, I wish they would. I mean, I've produced about 4 do-it-yourself productions that I've posted online, whatever else. Just to pick out a few commercial things that I think my voice would be good for. Then I learned how to, add the music to it to make it sound really good, whatever else. So all I can do is, keep making more, keep posting, and then, cross your fingers, hope for the best, and like anything else in acting, it's an endurance race. So you got to keep putting it out there until hopefully, something breaks through.
Awesome. Who are some of your favorite actors?
Now that's a really good question. I'd have to go with probably some classics here, like De Niro's very popular. Pacino's really good. Russell Crowe I like a lot as well, and Denzel for sure.
Yes.
If I could, end up even, being in the scene with one of those guys, not even speaking would be awesome, whatever else. But those guys definitely, they're very professional. They know how to. They just capture the scene, whatever else, and whatever they do, everyone's always paying attention. It's like, oh, what's he gonna do next? And so those guys are really at the top of my book.
I was love the Bad Boys. Like Ryder, my girl always makes fun of me. Like I loved Robert Downey. I still do. I love Robert Downey, but I loved Robert Downey when he was like blacklisted from Hollywood. When he was like pulled over with like coke and a gun in the passenger seat. Like I love the bad Robert Downey. Like even Johnny Depp. Yeah, when he's always in some shit. I think he still always is in shit. But yeah, I like the bad.
I don't know.
The bad.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, once they got past their hiccups, so they were fine with everything else. So more power to them for getting past that.
Yes, look at them now. Exactly.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Slim? Who's your favorite actor?
I don't really know because I have a.
Slim's very confused.
It just really depends on like what I'm into right now. Like I'm a huge fan of Mr. Robot. Right now, and I think that kid is amazing. Rami Malek, he plays Freddie Mercury.
Yes, and the new
an amazing actor. So that's
just what.
Yeah.
You're like flavor of the week. Slim's
yeah,
flavor
it's
of the
like
week.
my flavor of the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, you know who I really like
on the movie genre.
You know who I really like too? I love Sam Rockwell. I think Sam Rockwell is amazing.
Yeah,
What's he
really
in?
good. Yeah, and a lot of these A-list celebrities, they all get cast in something that is not as a huge production, or whatever, but they'll still, because of their their training and everything, they'll just make it something really unique and just stand out. So.
Yeah.
Especially like with Travolta in Pulp Fiction. I mean, that thing, that's a classic.
Dude, yeah, I never would have thought that would have been where Travolta ended up. Like, it was such a great performance.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rob asked real quick what Sam Rockwell was in. He was in Seven Psychopaths.
Oh, okay.
He was the jack of whatever. He was the one dude's friend.
As soon as you said that, I remember that. Yes. Was he in the other one as well? The Billboards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he was great in that one.
I
too,
still haven't seen that.
It's an amazing movie.
I think Ryder saw that one in theaters.
Him, Woody Harrelson, and I think the main character. What was her name?
I
forget.
Billboards.
The actress.
Yes, I forget too, but I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, she won Best Actress, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
See,
she did. Yep.
Yeah.
Your works. What I was going to ask you, what Cold Blooded the series was.
That's a that's a web series being filmed in New York City. It's an independent project. We've only filmed one episode so far. It's more of a funding issue at this time, of course. But it's a more like a mid to late 20s style, like vampire. Well, not vampire. I want to say supernatural type of series, whatever that Crystal Spates is working on. She wrote all the episodes herself, and she's the main director and everything. But I think funding is the biggest issue for her. So we got the first one done, and we're just waiting on doing more. So, but like anything else, once you're waiting on funding, everything's also on hold. So hopefully we get to keep going with that. But that's. It was fun to go to New York and film that for a full day. I mean, that's pretty much. It only took one day to film the whole scene, but it's just when you see everything that the details she went into it, it's just really incredible. So
cool. And what is Buzzing in the Garage? That sounds like a blast.
That was another independent student film that filmed down in Columbus. That is basically my character was a guy who's he pretty much hates his life. His job sucks. His wife can't stand him anymore. She wants to leave him and stuff. And so he's just going through the day-to-day, chores that he usually does, and it's just this downward spiral as it continues on, whatever else. And the ending is just, it's like, really, and it's he's trying to get back with his daughter, and she's just kind of not really intentionally blowing him off, but she's really busy with work and school, or just school basically.
Wow.
So he just can't connect with anyone, and it gets the best of him. So
sounds like
it was
some rough.
It's
like
kind of
life. It sounds like
depressing.
a life.
I mean, it really is. But I mean, I think it will mirror someone's life, unfortunately.
I was just gonna say it's just very relatable. Just hearing you talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other upcoming projects that you could talk about?
Yeah. Well, one I can't say too much about. I did sign an NDA with it, but it's going to be filmed in Michigan. It's going to be a series. It has a military themed background to it, and I made the shortlist cast for it, so I'll definitely be in the pilot episode. And they're still trying to figure out who they want to put where, so we're still kind of waiting on that, which that won't start filming until sometime next year. And this other one is just south of Cleveland. There's just another independent guy. You can kind of see a trend here with the independent stuff. It's a lot easier to get independent castings than it is to get your SAG stuff, unfortunately. But it's called Serial Dreaming, basically, and the synopsis is two guys working in the same office complex, and they're working in the acting biz. One's a talent manager, and the other one's like his client. But come to find out, they're on their off time. They're both serial killers, and they're trying to figure out ways to off each other. And it's kind of more of a funny, serious type of combo.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just on the title just had me. I was like, wow, I gotta know what this is.
Yeah.
About. That sounds amazing.
He's trying to get funding for this too, whatever else, and I think he's gonna try to start filming that around maybe May or something next year, I think. But next 3 or 4 months, hopefully it'll start going up. We'll start doing some more promotion work for it, whatever else. But when he pitched the concept to me, I'm like, that's way out of my comfort zone, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And he just had a really hard time trying to find someone to play his counterpart. And so after he saw my demo reel, he was like, yeah, I think you're the guy. I'm like, cool. So sometimes it just works out that way for you.
I think that's what's great about independent films too, is that they're not afraid to go into those deeper, like, complex stories and characters. Like one of my favorite independent films. Yeah, one of my favorite independent films is Primer. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's like super well done, and it's a movie about time travel, but done in a way that like nobody's ever done time travel before.
Wow, that makes me want to see it.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if I've heard of that, but I definitely want to see that too.
I know Back
check
to the
out
Future.
Primer. Primer's great.
I know Back to the Future. That was good.
Yeah.
That was a trilogy.
I think it's just with I think it's just with independent films, you're kind of forced to like make it more interesting.
That
like your character, your dialogue.
Not only do you have the license to go other places, but you also have to kind of to make people interested.
Yeah, you do. The good thing about independent films too is that everyone's there for the right purpose and reason. Not so much egos are involved, but everyone wants to make a good product, so they're going to bring their best work, whether you're part of the crew or part of the cast, and bringing a good project together. So that's a big plus too. So that's pretty much why I really enjoy doing the indie stuff, and probably try to keep going with it as long as I possibly can. But I do have one of my films that I was in, more of a big budget, was a Bruce Willis project. I'm not sure if you had seen that anywhere. It's on Hulu or Amazon, I forget, but it was called Acts of Violence. You ever heard of that one before?
Sounds familiar, but
I have
not
but I'm
seen
writing it right now in my notebook. I want to check that out.
Okay, yeah, Acts of Violence. That was filmed in Cleveland, and it was one of those weird things that happened to me where they were looking for background actors for the final scene they were shooting. And so I saw the casting call, and I applied for it and said, hey, I'll be a detective. What the heck? They're like, okay, I sent my photos in, and they're like, yeah, you'll work. So I got cast for that. So I show up there and go through all the processing, paperwork and costume, whatever else, and they liked what I brought and how I was dressed. And so then they take you to the set, and they drive over in this van and stuff. And then one of the production assistants, they put people in this yard of this house, very in certain points, so that it looks like, because they just filmed a shootout scene basically, and I was with this other girl who played another detective, and we're supposed to be like sharing notes about what just happened. Well, at the last second, or shortly thereafter, one of the same assistant came by, grabbed the two of us, and put us on the porch of the house. Well, to make this long story short, basically, the director had decided that he wanted to have a little more authenticity to the scene, and had us pretend as if we were escorting out the main actors from the front of the house in handcuffs, basically. So I got to actually escort out the main character of that scene out the front door, and we shot it like 5 or 6 times just to get the right angles, whatever else. But when you watch the movie, I get about a good, 5-7 seconds of screen time in there with them as well. So that was kind of cool.
That's awesome. Because we've had my one buddy, our buddy Bob Marsdale. He was in, I think, Creed, but he was in like,
oh right, he was in Creed.
He was in a crowd for like a second, but he said he pauses it every time he gets to that bar. Like,
right.
That's his second. But
Yeah,
just you saying there was that much of you as an extra, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that I was going to be in there. I wasn't sure if they were just going to like kind of cut me out and just put the main guy in there. So I didn't post about it just to not jinx myself. And then a lady who was directing another film that I was in had texted me and said, "Hey, are you in this movie?" I'm like, "Well, possibly." And she texted me a screenshot or a short clip. I'm like, "Well, I guess I did make it."
You
and I was
made
like,
it
cool.
in there.
So then I was like, "Oh, I can post it now." So
that's cool. I was gonna ask too, Steve. Have you ever been approached to do like I'm not like what's that called when you do your own stunts? But being like a helicopter pilot, have you ever been asked to do anything like that?
Yeah,
in a movie.
I have actually. And the problem is that there's just rules involved with that, especially with the government, the FAA, and stuff like that. I could only fly something that's up to a certain amount of weight, usually one of the smaller helicopters, and then the guy that would want me to fly it would actually have to pay the company that has it to rent it out, plus insurance for me and stuff like that. And
I figured that.
I would need a few hours of practice in there and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that would have to take place for me to do that. So in this day and age, though, they really use drones more than anything else to film those aerial shots.
Oh, okay. Dude, that makes a lot of sense.
So they would put a guy in like a chair that kind of looks like a cockpit, but he's not really in
but
a
then
helicopter.
Show the drone out there for the scene, like cut back and forth, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just there's just different kinds of drones out there, and they're all, they're unmanned. I mean, they're all remote controlled, so you can get them up really high, and the camera quality is really incredible. So, and it's cheaper than trying to rent a helicopter and pay for all the pilot time and the gas and everything else.
I'd want it done that way, though. I'd want I'd pay for the gas. I wouldn't pay for it. I would get backers. I want it done that way.
Right. Yeah. Whatever the director wants,
Oh, that's great. Steve, we have to wrap this up, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah.
It's been a blast, dude.
Oh, no. I appreciate you having me on. I mean, I'm honored and humbled at the same time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Where can everybody find you?
I do have a website. It's www.steveham.org, and that contains links to all my other sites as well. But otherwise, it's for Twitter, it's at Steve Hamm Actor, all one word. Instagram is at SteveHamm_actor. My Facebook, it's Stephen P as in Paul, Hamm, HAMM05. So those are the 3 individual sites. But my main website takes you to everything from there. And if I may, I'd just like to do a quick shout out just to a few people, if I could.
Yes, absolutely.
No one specifically. Just like to thank everyone that's on Facebook that supports me in the acting realm, because I'm friends with a lot of other independent actors as well. So I appreciate all their support, as well as on Instagram and especially on Twitter. The Twitter tribe, I guess you can call it, or Twitter family. I really appreciate all their support. They're always there to like and retweet my stuff and help me get me out there. So thanks to all of them as well, and any other fans out there. So hopefully I can keep this going and see where it leads me.
Love it, Steve. I hope the best for you. If that's a sentence.
I really appreciate that. Yeah.
I do. I hope the best for you, brother. You are great to talk to.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. You guys were fun to talk to as well, I have to admit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it. You guys have a good night now.
You too.
Take care.